Okay, today is Yoga for Stress, slow, gentle class. The theme of the week this week is contentment. So we're going to think about contentment in a little bit different way today. So we're going to start down on our backs, feet down, knees up. And start to land in the room. So give your hips a wiggle, your knees, your feet. Maybe lift the shoulders, wriggle the shoulders, let your body soften. Start to notice your breath. Start to feel your body landing on the mat, landing in the room. And then warm your hands and bring your hands wherever is comfortable on your torso, where you can watch your breath move your torso. So just underneath the rib cage or maybe lower down on the stomach, somewhere that feels somewhat comforting. We're going to think about our hands being like a warm hug, a gentle warm hug. Softening this space. So we often carry a lot of unnoticed tension in around the muscles of breathing and in around all the organs of digestion. So start to think about the warmth of your hands being a soft, warm comfort. And then start to notice your breath perhaps slowing. See if you can bring your shoulders a little softer. And then as you're watching your breath, I'm going to talk about contentment. So, when we talk about contentment in the studies and the texts from ancient texts of yoga written a long time ago, we're not thinking about always being content, always being happy, always being at peace. We're talking about learning to be content with the whole human experience. And this means that we may experience grief and loss and sadness, and these are all part of the human experience. And it is not that we should only ever be happy, it's that we need to learn to find ways to be comfortable with the human process. So starting to imagine allowing some softness and warmth in the torso. Maybe imagining bringing more space. So oftentimes, a lot of our emotional energy is felt within our torso. So with our back supported on the ground, imagine allowing more space for whatever emotion is present. Sadness, joy, loss, grief, whatever is present. Learning to trust in the process, learning to trust in our own human experience. And if your eyes are closed, maybe keeping them closed as we slowly begin to gently move and have a little more of a physical experience. So we're going to take our knees left and right, just nice and slow as you can, just kind of soft and slow, starting to feel a little movement through the hips. Still trying to keep that nice connection to a soft breath and really warm, open torso. And bring your knees back up towards the ceiling and take your head a little soft side to side sway. So just trying to really connect with the feeling of the skull as it rolls on the ground. Maybe even thinking about more softness and freedom in the back of the neck. Really, really tuning in inside. Maybe you're starting to notice some places where you have a little tension. And then the head back to neutral, and we're going to move the arms. So arms down by the hips, and we're going to inhale, arms up overhead. And exhale slowly, as if we're pushing the breath back out of the body. Connecting with our breath, bring your hands back down to our hips. Moving with our breath, inhale, up and open. And exhale down. And then bring the arms just above the shoulders, fingertips point to the ceiling. And we're going to inhale, open the arms up wide. And imagine we're really opening and accepting the breath in. Exhale, squeeze the hands back together, little gentle push. Really slow, careful, mindful, trying to really connect with our breath. Thinking about our movement today being more of a meditation. We're just gently moving to connect with the whole body experience. And bring your hands back up to the ceiling, fingertips to the sky. And if your eyes are closed, gently open them, maybe blink them open, give them a moment to reset. We're going to spread our fingers wide and look at our fingers. Think about all the work our hands do. Start to move our fingers around. And then take your hands in nice, slow circles. Slow. Really trying to feel the angles your wrists can move in. And then reverse the circles. Trying to stay connected by using your eyes to focus on the body part we're working with for a little bit. Helping your body know, helping your mind know where you'd like the focus to be. Bring the hands together, fingertips together, press the fingertips in. So you can soften the arms a little, we're focusing on the fingers. Press the fingertips in towards each other. Start to feel the muscles of the fingers. And then interlace and press the palms of the ceiling, palms of the hands up to the ceiling. Tongue-tied. Slow breath. And then bring the palms of the hands back and then pull the fingers apart while they're interlaced. So we're now stretching the back of the wrist. Pull. Breathe. And then slowly bring the hands back down to the hands back down to the hips. Take a little side sway. We're going to connect with the muscles of the backs of the legs and the glutes. So shoulders down, rib cage down. We're going to inhale, press into the heels, fire up the glutes, lift the hips. Exhale, lower, rolling bridge. So starting to connect with the muscles of the glutes in the back. And then seeing if you can find the muscles really down in deep in front of the hips. So kind of find the hip bone and then in front of the hip bone down in deep. See if you can find those muscles to help pull the hips up. Connecting with your breath. Mindful of any tension you're bringing into the neck. Try to leave the shoulders down and the neck soft. Then bring the hips down, little side sway of the knees just to reset. Nice soft low back. And then leaving the left foot down, knee up, right foot comes to the ceiling, and start to look at the foot. Spread the toes wide. See if you can spread them wider. See if you can get a gap between each toe. Spread, spread, spread. And then curl the toes in. And then push the toes. See if you can feel a stretch on the front of the foot. Push, 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 push. And then we're going to take our foot in a really slow circle. So see if you can move nothing but the foot. And help your mind stay focused on the foot by looking at the foot. And then go back the other way. And then holding on to the leg, we're going to move from the down below the knee, taking the lower leg in a really slow circle. See if you can find the muscles in the front of the shin. And then back the other way. And then take the foot to the ceiling. Keep an eye on your hips. Hips nice and grounded, trying not to wiggle the hips left and right. We're going to take the foot, we're going to turn the toes in towards midline and hold here, and then little pulses, little tiny pulses, in and out, in and out. You should find muscles close to the bone in your thigh, right near the groin. Breathe. And then take the toes all the way out. Let the bone move in the hip. So you're turning the leg all the way out, as far out as it can go, and then little pulses. Breathe. And then take the leg up, little tiny controlled circles, teeny tiny controlled circles, squeezing the muscles in the leg. Breathe. And then reverse your circles. And then bend the knee. We're going to bring the knee in towards the shoulder and then press away. So inhale as we pull in. Exhale as we press the leg away, trying to find muscles in the leg. So we're trying to be active in the leg. Imagine you're pushing a very strong, heavy weight away. You're really struggling to move this leg. It's really heavy. You're pulling something heavy, you're pushing something heavy. Use your imagination to create your own muscle resistance and connect with more muscles. And then bring the knee above the hip, take it a little out. Out to the right, only so far as you can hold the hips stable. And then again, knee in, heel out, press out. Pull the knee in, press the heel out, nice and slow. Stop the knee about halfway, so right around the hip. And then we're going to take the heel out to the right and the heel in. Trying to keep the rest of the leg still. We're just trying to move below the heels. Focusing on moving heel in, heel out. So the thigh is going to move, but we don't want to moving left and right. We want to really focus on moving through the heel. We're going to look for muscles on the outer edge of the right leg, and then the inner thigh. And then bring the heel, cross it just underneath the left knee, and press the knee away from you. Notice how this feels. Maybe your hip feels nice and open. Slowly unravel. Let the right leg come all the way to the ground long and wiggle it. Notice how it feels. Notice how the hip feels. And then bring the sole of the foot to the ground, the knee up. And see how left and right sides feel. See if you can notice any differences. Maybe you notice some difference in the legs, in the glutes, in the hips. See if you can feel left and right side differences. And then we're going to take the left foot up. Spread the toes really, really wide. Try and get a gap between each toe. Spread, spread, spread. And then curl the toes in, make a tight foot. Push the toes away, open up the front of the foot. Push like you're really pushing through the top of the big toe. Really open up as much as you can on the front of the foot. And then I'm taking a really, really, really slow foot circle. Looking at the foot, so you're keeping your mind in your foot. Where are the muscles in your foot? How many bones are in your foot? How often do you think about your foot and all the ways it moves and helps us? And then go back in the other direction. And then holding onto the thigh, slow circles from below the knee. Really trying to feel the muscles in the shin. And then back the other way. Notice how the thigh wants to do all the work. And try and use these muscles right in front of the shin. And then we're going to take the knee above the hip, get prepared. We're going to pull the knee in and press the knee away, keeping the hips stable so the hips are not moving on the ground. If you know that you're prone to be unstable, either across the hips or in the sacrum, maybe keeping your hands here. Just to remind yourself to remain steady and grounded through the hips. Move with your breath. Inhale as you pull in. Exhale as you press that foot away from you. And bring the knee just above the hip. Take it a little bit out to the left. Long, active leg. And then inhale in. Exhale, press out. Notice how you use slightly different muscles. Still trying to keep your hips nice and grounded on the ground. And then bring the knee just above the hip, holding the thigh. We're going to pull the heel out to the outside, into the inside. Moving with the breath, staying focused on the muscles in the leg. Take the leg back up to the ceiling, and we're going to take little tiny controlled circles. So little teeny tiny controlled circles. Trying to keep the hips grounded. Trying to find some of the deeper stabilization muscles in our legs and hips. And then back in the other direction. And then land the leg from the hip, pull the foot down, turn the foot out to the outside, and then little pulses here, pushing the foot as far away from you as it can go. So over to the left as far as it can go, little pulses. Don't forget to breathe. And then turn the toes in, little pulses in. And then slowly cross left ankle just underneath right knee. And notice how it feels. Press the knee away from you and connect to the muscles of the hips. And breathe. Slowly unravel and take the heel down to the ground. Long left leg. Give it a shake and see how it feels. Notice what is present in the hip. And then take the right leg long also and really shake up the legs. Notice what's present. Do the legs feel a little longer? Maybe you feel a little more open in the hips or the low back. Notice. Maybe there's some muscles that feel tired. There are no right answers, just inquiries. And then we're going to leave the heels on the ground with a soft bend in the knees, and we're going to pull the toes towards the shins and then press the toes away. So just moving through, pulling the toes towards the shin, pressing toes towards the ground. Notice where your tension appears to be. Maybe you feel some tension across the front of the feet. Maybe the cuffs feel tight. Maybe you're starting to feel lower back or glutes. Just moving, feeling, experiencing your body, experiencing your own holding patterns. Bring your feet back up to the ceiling, little soft bend in the knees, and we're going to take the feet out and in. So legs long and just feeling what is going on in the legs. And then we're going to bring the soles of the feet to the ground, knees up, and we're going to grab our block. If you don't have a block, just imagine you have the block. You're going to take it long ways. Not right on the knee joint, just underneath the knee joint. Squeeze the block. So, begin with feet apart. Feet apart on the ground. Little squeeze of the block. So, once you get the squeeze of the block, check in. So, where's the squeeze coming from? Oftentimes, we incorporate much stronger muscle groups to do the work. So, watch your glutes. We want to try and work with inner thighs here. So you're going to turn the inner thighs on and off, little pulses, little tiny on-off pulses, squeezing into the block and trying to keep the glutes soft. Keep an eye on the low back. Check in on the face and shoulders. Try to remain soft. We're just focusing on inner thighs, squeezing the block. And now we're going to work on those muscles I was talking about. So if you like, you can help yourself connect to finding these muscles by finding your hip bones, placing your hands on your hip bones, and then just in front of your hip bones. So bring your hip hands just towards your midline a little bit more. We're thinking about this space, but way down deep. So not on the surface, not close to the skin. The muscles deeper. We're going to bring the soles of the feet towards each other. So pick up the soles of the feet and bring your feet close towards each other. Squeeze the block. Start to really squeeze the block. And then we're going to press the hips down into the ground. Start to find muscles deeper in the stomach. We're going to keep our shoulders grounded, keep the tension out of our neck, and then sway the knees left and right. Teeny tiny little sway. Trying not to let the hips move. And after just a few sways, you should start to feel connection to those muscles that are really in deep. Breathe. Little squeeze. Try not to let the six-pack, all of the upper layer muscles to do all the work. We're really trying to find the ones right in close to the hips. Breathe. And then take your feet out, release the block. Take a little side sway of the hips, knees. We're going to place the block in between the shins, knees above the hips. You can hold it either this way or this way, doesn't matter. Whichever is more comfortable for you. Hold and engage here. So legs up, knees up above hips, shoulders pressing into the ground. Hold here. So what do you need to fire up to keep your hips engaged, to keep your hips stable on the ground? What muscles do you need to connect with here to keep your hips on the ground? And we're going to let the feet come a little tiny bit away. So press like you're pressing towards the ceiling, wall behind you. And bring the knees back to the hips. It's this small, tiny movement. So again, we're looking for these teeny tiny muscles in deep. Watch for other muscle groups trying to do all the work. So watch for tension in your shoulders, in your neck, in your face. Maybe you're taking all the work and stress into your face. Soften, find your breath. And then release the block. Bring your knees in and give yourself a little hug. Maybe rock it. Option to take happy baby. So if you come to the ceiling, you either hold your shins or outer edges of your feet. And happy baby can be swayed or taken still. Notice how you feel. And then knees back in, roll on over to a side, and come up to a tabletop position. So moving and breathing in our tabletop. Inhale, tabletop, exhale, back towards child's, really connecting to our breath. So maybe feeling a little more open, connected to our base, so our legs and our hips. We're going to move into rabbit. Come on up to a tabletop pose. So, important thing for rabbit is not to take weight into the neck. We are going to place the crown of our head down on the ground because there's a lot of stuff up in our head. So, glands and things. We're going to turn our head upside down, and that is the purpose of the pose. So not to take any weight, not to strain and pull into the muscles of the neck or to pull into the neck at all. So we set up very mindfully. Coming from our tabletop, you're going to bring the crown of your head down to the ground with all of your weight in your hands. So crown of your head onto the ground. Once you find the crown of the head, so you might find the top of the forehead first and then come onto the crown of the head. Start to really release like you're releasing all the weight of your head into the ground, but you're still supporting your neck. Your hands have all the weight. So you're letting tension flow through the head. Turning your world upside down, but you're still supporting yourself with your hands. A little bit of touch of the crown of the head. Breathe with your world upside down, your throat a little compressed. Be very mindful that you're not feeling this anywhere in your neck. You're just turning your head upside down and feeling the top of your head on the ground. So really trying to just experience your head upside down. A little touch of the crown of the head. We're going to come out of this very slowly. So start to really press into the hands and slowly with the muscles of the arms and shoulders, pull your head up and slowly come down to crocodile. So all the way down to your stomach. One hand on top of the other, forehead down. Shimmy the hips. And now bring all of your focus to the point of contact on your forehead. So we turned our world upside down. We had a little contact on the crown of our head. And now a little contact on the forehead. Start to think about the throat having been recently a little bit compressed. Being now a little more open. Maybe sighing out of the mouth and thinking about cleansing the throat just a little. And now energetically, we're going to use our imagination to bring all of our focus right in between our shoulders into the spine. So we're thinking about our spine. And we're going to imagine sending out energy through the crown of the head. So we had that touch on the crown of our head. So we're going to imagine starting at the midline in between the shoulders and going up through the neck, out through the crown of the head. Think about space. So imagine you could magically fix any misalignments in your spine just by bringing your attention to your spine. So imagine with your imagination, you're going to put little pockets of soft, fluffy space right in between each vertebrae. Imagine you could undo the effects of gravity and time and all the things that happen in our lives. And then slowly make your way back to child's pose. And come on up to a seated position. So find a comfortable seat, whatever that may be. We're going to sit here for a little bit. Nice and tall in the spine, long in the spine, lifting up. So finding both hips on the ground, thinking about getting longer, longer, longer. So that little place in the crown of the head that was touching the ground, send it up to the ceiling. And then we're going to work with some movement through the spine. So bringing the right ear over to the right shoulder. And imagine a little tiny push of the left shoulder down to the ground, just finding more space on the left side. Once you get here, you can gently move your chin around. So as you slowly move your chin around, you might find the spot that you hold your attention in your neck. Rest into it, feel it, breathe into that space. If you like, you can experiment with taking the left fingertips and sending them down towards the ground, shooting energy out, making more space on the left side, or tucking the hand onto the left hip and pressing the top of the hand into the hip. Breathe. Slowly unravel and bring the head back to neutral. Experience left and right shoulders. And then left ear over towards the left side. And move the chin slowly, looking for the point that feels right for you today. And breathe. maybe experience with pressing the right fingertips down towards the ground as if you're shooting energy out, or tucking the hand onto the hip. And then slowly bringing the head back to neutral. Experience left and right shoulders. And then we're going to bring chin neutral. Inhale. Exhale, turn chin to a shoulder. Inhale, neutral. Exhale, turn to the other side. So really, rather than just rolling your chin around, thinking about the muscles that make this movement happen and feeling them. So we move, we turn to look when we're driving. We do these movements so much without connecting to the muscles. So see what you feel. What naturally stops your chin? Where are your holding patterns? Where can you find a little more space? And then bring the chin back to neutral. We're going to make the movement a little bit bigger, letting the shoulders turn as well as the chin. And then back to neutral. So trying to keep the hips soft and still. We're just letting the shoulders move. Trying to find a little bit more freedom in the upper back. Moving with the breath. Inhale is neutral, exhale is the twist. Watch for that little competitive streak you might have with yourself, pressing with your hands to get a little more space. Maybe you're pressing into a foot or a hip. Just trying to connect with the muscles that make our shoulders move and our head move. And then bring it back to neutral. And we're going to pull our sternum back towards our back. And then inhale, open up. So open up, inhale, exhale, pull back. So really thinking about this movement being right in the chest area. So we inhale as we open, pull our shoulders back. Exhale as we pull our shoulder blades, shoulders forward, shoulder blades wider, connecting with this upper body space. Trying to keep the hips low back, everything else soft. And then bring yourself back to neutral. We're going to think about the shoulders, pull the shoulders towards each other, and then squeeze the shoulder blades back. Trying to find muscles in the shoulders. And then bring the shoulders neutral, but squeeze them. So imagine you're trying to squeeze the shoulders back in towards each other and then squeeze them up to the ears nice and slow. See how many muscles you can find. As if you're trying to stop your shoulders rising to your ears. How many muscles can you find? Then squeeze the shoulder blades back towards each other. And then squeeze the shoulders down as if you're trying to stop them coming down really slow as you can. See how many muscles you can find. And then bring them all the way slowly forward. Shoulders are slow forward. Back to neutral. And then we're going to pick them up towards the ears and let them drop. Pick them up, suddenly drop. See if you can get some wiggles in the shoulders. See if you can get some of the tension in between the shoulders to really let go. Hold the shoulders neutral, and we're going to take a little bit of movement with the head. So mindful when we move through the neck. Try not to drop the skull back onto the vertebrae. We're going to bring our head down towards our chest and take our head in a really slow circle. Again, we're still trying to feel the muscles that make our head move in every part of the circle. When you get towards the back, you're going to imagine lengthening rather than dropping the head. And then all the way back in the other direction when you've completed your circle. See if you can start to connect with the muscles that go all the way up into where upper and lower jaw meet. And then head back to neutral. We're going to squeeze our back teeth together and think about really squeezing the muscles of our jaw. See how many muscles you can find in your jaw. Take a deep breath in, really think about squeezing tight, and then suddenly release as if your jaw is just going to fall to the ground. Notice that it's really hard to do that. Squeeze again. And then take a deep breath in and try and let the jaw drop with the exhale. And then we're going to take our finger onto our chin. And we're not going to push hard. We're just using our finger as a guide. We're going to press our chin a little bit into our finger without letting it move. So start to feel all the muscles of the jaw. See if you can soften the upper muscles. See if you can soften while holding the jaw. So you're pressing the jaw into the finger. You're trying to find the muscles of the jaw and connect with them. And then take a deep breath in, push into the finger pretty hard without letting the jaw move, and then let it go with the exhale, like let as much as you possibly can soften. Notice the jaw. 2 ways to do the next movement. Some people have a lot of inflammation in around the muscles of the jaw, so holding the back of the jaw can be very sensitive. So you can either hold the back of the jaw with 2 fingers lightly. If this is too much, bring your fingers in underneath the jaw or your thumb underneath the jaw. We're going to pull backwards. So mindful of any inflammation you may have. Find your jaw and then pull back into your fingers without letting your jaw move. So letting your fingers just hold the resistance, pull your jaw into your fingers. See how many muscles you can find. Really connect with moving, finding the muscles that would make your jaw move backwards without letting it actually move. It's so hard to do this while talking. And then take a deep breath in. And with the exhale, see how much you can soften and loosen and let go. We're going to slowly make our way down onto the ground and do just a little bit more jaw work before we go into our meditation. So make your way down, either full corpse or bringing your feet down to the ground, knees up, whichever makes your back the softest. So try and have really soft low back. So whenever we have problems and tension, always check above and below the problem. So sometimes jaw problems are not only jaw problems, maybe they go all the way into the neck, maybe they go all the way down into the chest, maybe they're linked to some of the tension we have in the low back. So whenever we're working on something, we want everything else to be as soft as possible so that we're not pulling any unwanted tension into unusual places. So as you're setting up, check in on the curve of your neck. So take your fingers, feel the back of your neck. Do you have a natural curve here, or are you pushing your chin inward and your neck towards the ground? So feel, notice how your neck feels. Not adjusting your neck, just feel. And then take your chin maybe a little more to the ceiling, giving your head neck a little more space. Feel the back of your head on the ground. We're going to take our head and press it into the ground. And we're going to take a palm of our hand and press it onto our head. Not hard, just connecting. So now you have two connection points that you can feel, one on the forehead, one directly on the back of the head. Feel here and then think about all the muscles of the jaw. See if you can soften the muscles of the jaw a little more. And then release your hand, and you're going to take your tongue. You're going to roll it in circles around the front of your teeth. So roll your tongue 10 times in one direction around the front of your teeth, and then 10 times in the other direction around the front of the teeth. Trying to think about all the muscles that make the tongue move, and you should start to feel a connection to the muscles in the jaw also. So 10 times one direction in a circle, 10 times in another. And then when you're done, take your tongue, stick it out of your mouth, so straight up to the ceiling, and connect to really pressing your tongue out of your mouth. And then let your tongue come back into your mouth and press it into the roof of your mouth. Really press your tongue into the roof of your mouth. And then take your tongue and press it into the back of the bottom teeth and a little bit into the lower jaw. And then as you're pressing, take a really deep breath in. And as you're sighing, start to slowly soften. So as you're sighing out, soften, 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 soften from the tongue until it feels like it just fell into the mouth. Start to imagine that same softness spreading into the jaw. Start to imagine that same softness slowly spreading down the sides of the neck. And maybe you're beginning to give your softness a color or something visual that helps you connect. Imagine it trickling down the sides of the neck, right down to the collarbones. And then from the collarbones, it's going to slowly trickle across the collarbones towards the tips of the shoulders. The shoulder blades are melting into the back. They're getting heavier and heavier. They're falling into the back. The ground is supporting them. The chest is releasing its burden. The neck is releasing its burden. The head is supported, shoulders are supported, and the hips are supported. Start to imagine that softness trickling down the shoulders, down the arms. All the way to the palms of the hands. And the softness is softening the hands. The hands are releasing their burden. The hands are supported by the ground. Perhaps you begin to feel a little more circulation and tingling energy into the tips of the fingers. And if this is the position you would like to stay in for your resting pose, stay here, or if you feel like you need to make some minor adjustments, try not to wake the body too much as you adjust, and find the position you want to be in for resting pose. So imagine you're trying not to wake a sleeping baby in the room. You move slowly and mindfully and gently into whatever position you need to be for the rest of this exercise. Still thinking about fresh energy getting all the way down to the fingertips. Open, soft muscles across the face, into the jaw, down the neck, across the chest. And then that soft, open, tingling, fresh energy is going to move from the chest slowly down a rib at a time, releasing the skin around the ribs, releasing the muscles on the top of the torso, the muscles closer to the spine, the muscles down the rib cage, either side of the hips. And then slowly melting all the way into the muscles of the back. Find the ground supporting the hips. Allow the hips to release their burden. Allow the glutes to soften and release their burden. And then think about all of the important organs in our torso, and think about all of our organs having more space, more freedom, more softness. We're able to work more freely. Our lungs fill more easily. Our digestion begins to gurgle and move and soften. And think about this process. Think about being soft around your digestion. And then returning to that concept of contentment. Think about being content to be in this moment right now, honoring your physical body, honoring your breath, your digestion, honoring your heartbeat, honoring the magic that is this whole system. So many complicated parts all working together. Honoring our emotions as filters for our environment. Honoring our thoughts as ways to help us move through this human experience. And then honoring that layer that's a little deeper, the one that guides us to practices such as these that help refresh us, help connect us and put us in a little smoother working order. each time the thoughts pull you off the mat, gently return your focus to the softness of the torso and honoring our organs. And maybe you look for the sound of your own heartbeat, using that as a practice to help pull you back into present moment and the experience you're having on your mat. Or maybe you honor your digestion. We are in a time of upheaval and change. And even when we don't notice it, we are affected by this time and this moment in time. And little stressors can happen in our body, and so often it's around our digestion. Stress halts rest and digest and turns on fight or flight. So thinking about taking this moment to be so super soft in the torso, letting our body rest and digest intentionally. If you have the time to take, spending time practicing, just drawing yourself back into physical softness. Every time the thoughts pull you away, please take all the time you need. If you need to finish up at the 60-minute mark, begin to bring some gentle movements to the knees or to the toes and fingers, just gently bringing awareness back to your physical body slowly. Trying not to get too mentally alert. Make your way over to a fetal position and curl up in a ball. And think about this ball shape being an honoring, a comfort, a hug. Taking the time to comfort yourself. Taking the time to be content with what is present for yourself. Be it stressful thoughts, be it stressful feelings, honoring where you're at. Contentment is not the practice of pushing happiness and only having happiness and joyful feelings. Contentment is learning to find ways to be comfortable with the human experience, whatever it presents us with. Being comfortable with not being in control of this human experience. Finding ways to be content within the chaos. And slowly make your way up to a seated position, bringing your hands to prayer heart space, and taking a moment to take this prayer shape in front of your heart and bow your head down, honoring your own internal wisdom. That part of you that brings you to practice, the part of you that guides you to take care of yourself and to honor yourself. Only when we bring honor and compassion towards ourselves are we able to truly experience and give it out without draining us. So honor that bliss level inside, that layer inside, our own spirituality. And then from this place of kindness and compassion, send it out. Multiply this feeling by sharing it. And you can think of someone in particular, or you can just imagine it's a color or a temperature or a sensation, some kind of visual that you send out from your heart. And as you send it out, it multiplies within you. Sharing compassion and kindness, allowing it to grow from our heart center. May all beings be peaceful and at ease. Thank you so much for joining us.